They put the salmonella in the spray bottles and hit all the salad bars in town.
Why?
Because they won the elections. Because people were sick.
Oh, because everyone was throwing up?
Small community, they didn't go to vote.
I will never, ever go to another salad bar.
Hi there, how are you? It's the Todd and Erin Daily Street.
You know, it's hot weather and you start talking about things like mayonnaise shouldn't be clear in your potato salad, and then you start coming up with all the horror stories about summer food. That one wins, though, I'm pretty sure.
Let me start off with some good news.
All right.
Utah being on a list. You know how we feel about this. Good,
Always.
Good or bad?
We still want to know. It's just how we define ourselves.
U.S. Bureau of Labor Stats. This came out in 2016.
Okay.
Wanted to know how many people were volunteering in each state.
Oh, we have to win this one. Come on.
We're like forced to be nice.
It really is almost a requirement.
So what do you think? Well, who would?
Oh no, we're totally going to be number one. And who's the volunteer state? Because screw them, they're still not winning. It's us.
It's funny. It's most of the states that people could die easily in. South Dakota is 35% volunteer. On
really?
average, yeah.
That's so sweet.
Because you can freeze in South Dakota. North Dakota is even worse. Wisconsin.
Maybe cheese just makes you charitable. I don't know.
35.34%.
That's nice.
Minnesota.
I believe that. The Minnesotans are good people.
Are they good people?
Well, no, they're all Norwegians, so they all have that just like that great attitude thing going on.
Upper 35%.
Nice. All right, tell us me. I know it's us. So
Utah.
what is it?
It's us.
Well,
we
naturally.
win.
Well, what's the percentage?
43%.
Get the heck out.
I know. You think my life would be better.
You know the only funny
People would be helping me more.
You know the funny thing about that, though, is that it's not only do I take it as a given that, of course, it would be us and at 43%, but I'm actually, like, judgmental of the other 57. Like, why aren't you? Are you bedridden?
Right.
Even if you're bedridden, you could be writing greeting cards.
I'd be standing in the front of my yard with my lawnmower looking for someone to volunteer. And they never do.
I think you might be taking this the wrong way. It's meant to be...
Damn it, if you're going to volunteer, you volunteer for everyone, mister. You're driving down the street, pull over. Help me.
I think it was really meant more in terms of you should perhaps be helping others less fortunate than yourself.
I'll tell you what, you mow my lawn to help someone else.
I don't think it works like that. I don't think it's like a transaction.
It should work that way.
I think it's... All right, so now that we have that we're number one...
Yeah. Here's the other bad one.
Tell the other part of it.
It's not a bad one.
It's not a great one.
When I was growing up, my number one thing I loved was my bicycle. It took me everywhere. Plus, we didn't have a car. So, riding the bike around. And if people stole your bike, it's basically your toast.
Yeah, because that's your main, that's everything, especially for a kid.
And
that's your transport. That's your life.
And the police are not going to chase down a bike. They're not going to go out and look for your bike. You say, hey, it's a black bike and someone stole it.
Well, even if it's like the sad part is even if like a $5,000 like mountain bike, they're like still like, okay.
That's your own fault, actually. For not
How do you figure it's your fault?
For not having a good lock. I mean, putting it inside your house.
Well, I think that's kind of unsympathetic.
So the whole point is that they're telling everybody to register the bikes because basically what happens is they don't go and arrest a guy for stealing a bike. They arrest a guy for having meth, and he's riding a bike. And so what they'll do in a lot of cases is they'll put the bike into the trunk of the car. They arrest the guy, and they dump the thing off at where they keep the property that's been stolen by the police.
Yeah, there's always some yard, right?
There's a yard of all these things. And the unfortunate thing is they have this open house every year, and you go down and you look for something that's yours, if you can prove it's yours, whatever. So what they're telling people to do now, and it's really simple to do, is take 3 minutes, take a picture of your bike, write down the serial number, and just send it to the Salt Lake Police Department.com.
It's slcapitalpd.com. And yeah, they have a registry there. They're even suggesting, like, even if you're out of, like, city limits, still go and register your bike on the website because they say most stolen bikes still somehow end up in Salt Lake City. So even if you're in Taylorsville, but they have your serial number, they can still call you and go, dude, in Taylorsville, we have your bike.
There was a great story about, it was Toronto. Toronto had the highest rate of bike thefts. First of all, they use a lot of bikes.
The Canadians are so polite. How can that be?
But the story came down to the guy got 2 bikes stolen. And this is not like leaving him in the front yard. This is like bringing him into like the breezeway or bringing him into the whatever. And he constantly was having, and these bikes are expensive. What they're doing with them is they're putting in sea containers and they're sending them over to Asia. Because some of these bikes are worth some money, right?
This was like a thriving industry for Asian
Here's the story.
Bike riding.
So the guy got fed up with it. He goes into his basement. He drills a hole through the concrete. He puts a lag bolt through, fills it with epoxy, and has this huge metal eye, and he locks his bike to it, and they stole it. Wow. They stole the bike. They had anchored it to the house.
Okay, this is one I would never recommend because it would be wrong, but when I was in college, it was the same thing with a friend of mine. He got 2 stolen. No, it was 3.
Right.
3 stolen. Unfortunately, he was also in electrical engineering, and he figured out...
Oh, how fun this would be.
So he locked it, and he figured out a way to...
Put a...
He did a low ground current.
The bulldozer unit, like they keep bears out of places.
I have no idea what it was,
but
it's
yeah, awesome.
but when you touched his bike, you
40,000 volts.
You got a decisive shock that would knock you on your butt.
That's nice.
And apparently the guy who had stolen the last 3 came back, and they found him in the morning because he'd fallen back and whacked his head.
Nice.
And he was like, "I'm going to sue you, and you're going to have to pay for my medical care." And the police were like, "No, it doesn't work like that. When you're in the middle of commission of a crime, the victim is not required to care."
If I find him and he was passed out, I'd throw him back on the bike.
Now that's mean-spirited.
It's not my plan. You did it.
I feel like he's learned his lesson by being knocked on his butt and knocking his head out, don't you think?
No. He's in my house.
I had no idea you would be this dark.
I am dark. I had my bike stolen. I remember.
Did you really? I don't think you ever told me that.
Oh. Second time I caught him, I weighed 90 pounds. All right, and I'm walking like he's walking it with his friend. I'm like, I'm walking behind, and he starts tearing off all my personal stuff and throwing it into the woods. And he's walking along, and he's closing the distance, not knowing, how many boogers I have to be beaten out of me.
Because apparently,
and I finally get up to him, and he goes behind his store, and I go up and I go, "That's my bike. Dirty, rotten dog." That's how I talk.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, and he threw the bike at me, and I went, "I still got the bike."
I'm really amazed you did that.
Earliest, bravest moment I ever had.
Well, you're usually so zen about everything. I would not have expected that.
Except for me throwing the guy back on the electrified bike. Things have changed.
Apparently so.
Things have changed.
All right, well, here's another thing where, unfortunately, we're in the top 10, and it's not great. And they say it's because we're trusting, which always ticks me off. It's why is it? No, but we always get that criticism in Utah, and it pisses me off.
So we're talking about Utah.
Yeah, we're in the top 5 for identity theft nationwide. And they say one of the reasons, and I really don't like the condescension thing, well, Utahns are so trusting. You'll tell people anything. But apparently we do have a problem with a lot of the phone scams where people will call going, "Hey, you need to give me your PIN number for your bank. This is the bank calling." And people do.
Right.
But I feel like that could happen anywhere. But the biggest one we have right now is mailbox theft. People stealing stuff out of your mailbox.
Oh, I thought they were stealing mailboxes. All right.
But anyway, and of course that's like hands down the easiest one to do. So they said, you and I just gave up and went to a P.O. box.
Right.
It's totally worth it because it's much harder to steal your mail out of a locked P.O. box in the post office.
I mean, think about that. The last 2 places we've lived in Utah, we didn't have. You had to walk to the door. Mm-hmm. And I forgot now that small packages go, all you do is drive up like you're getting a snow cone and to grab your stuff out and you go.
It's pretty nice.
I didn't even think of that.
They say at least get a locking mailbox if you don't want to do that. And they said make sure you check your credit regularly, which we all should basically be doing anyway. By the way, Credit Karma, creditkarma.com, they do not require a credit card to do identity theft monitoring for you. Everything is free.
Right.
And you can check your credit anytime you want. It's not just once a year.
And it doesn't knock your credit score.
Yeah. So it's nice.
The funny thing you say that Utah's that way. I grew up in the East, and when I came here and I first met Erin, this is the problem. This is why this is happening.
Okay.
I'm like, "Hi, how you doing?" And Erin's like, "What's your PIN number?" It's like that. It's like she wanted to know everything. She wanted to know everything about me, and it was just like not used to that. And she's like,
"I'm a journalist.
"Oh, that's great."
Of course, I would want to.
I'm not sure it's all about that, but
well, no, I also want to. But
Erin's the only person. When she met my mom, she asked my mom why I was named Todd. No one ever told me. Erin gets it out of her mom. Okay. My mom.
Is this my fault that you're from New England and you guys are all paranoid Yankees?
Yeah, but for us, you're going into the conversation with a crowbar.
You know why? It's because Westerners are like this. We're like friendly, huggy puppy. Like, "Hi, what's your name? What's your favorite color? Do you have any cousins?" That's our job. That's what we do as Westerners.
You're not like that anymore.
And you Easterners are like, "Well, I don't feel like I can tell you my last name."
Well, it's a little weird.
No, you guys are like relentlessly
I'm
paranoid.
30-something, and I find out that I'm named Todd because my mother, when she was pregnant, couldn't sleep. She would watch a TV show, black and white, and there was an English family, and he was going off to war. Mom, I'm going off to war. And there was a funny guy, and his name was Todd.
2 Ds.
She finds this out of my mom. I lived with this woman until I was 18, and I didn't even know.
What did you people talk about at night at the table? Because it's like... None of it seemed to involve any personal information.
More of what we were thinking about we weren't going to talk about. So a lot of that inner conflict is going on.
There must be a very rich inner life with
but
the
the
angels.
West,
I
you guys, it was a while to get used to you. Hi, what's your name, Todd? What's your name, Sally? Pretty much wraps up the conversation for me.
Your dating life was rich and varied back east.
All right, so you did...
Julie Hanks, this is so
Julie
cool.
Hanks.
All right, first of all, we should actually talk about New Millennium Financial.
May I?
Please.
New Millennium Financial. These are the people, let's figure that your finances are like Tetris, right? And you need to know what's going to go where, how you're going to plan, how you're going to make the solid block, how everything's going to fill in together. And if you don't know with a 401k or your Social Security or Medicare or your kid's going to college, what do you do with the equity in your home? These people can put the plan together that's going to give you so many extra hours of sleep every night because you don't have to worry about it. Just go to New Millennium Financial and they will help you out. Julie Hanks has been a friend of ours forever. First of all, give her all the initials she has after her name.
Well, she is now a doctor. She's a PhD. She's a licensed family therapist.
Right.
She runs her own business with a group of amazing therapists who work. But she's also unfairly attractive and talented and all that stuff. And then she insists on being nice too, which just makes it like even worse because then you can't hate her.
She's got the bluest eyes too.
I know, she's amazing.
Not that I noticed.
But it's okay. I can accept it. But the important thing is that whenever we've had like really thorny, difficult questions, we call her because like she always has the right answers. And there was a mom who called me the other day crying, and for some reason her child didn't want to go back to school because like they're going to do the drills again. And we all know what
the shooters.
Those are.
Yeah.
And it brought up the question again, which is, I think, the hardest thing in the entire world is how do you tell your children, how do you explain tragedy to your children?
Right.
Terrorist acts and school shootings and all these things that should be unimaginable and never happened, but they happen. So how do you talk to her about it?
Let's talk to the doctor and see what she said.
One of my favorite things in the world is hanging out with Dr. Julie Hanks. Now, she's one of my favorite girls because I feel like every time we hang out together, we solve all the problems of the planet. So we met for lunch at Fat Jack's Burger Emporium downtown, and here's what happened. I was trying to think of how to ask you this because something that's always happening that seems to be exceptionally horrible. Maybe it's a terrorist act or yet another school shooting. And basically, if you're watching this right now, something probably has happened that's exceptionally terrible, and you need a way to tell your kids.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I tried to explain a school shooting to Zoe and why her and this is my 5-year-old, and why her school was having drills on what you do.
Right.
Great way to begin. I'm sorry. Yeah. But as a parent, there's nothing more terrifying than knowing this can happen to any child, and more importantly, the fact that you have to explain that the world is not nice.
And you don't want, that's the last thing you want to tell your kids.
Exactly.
Oh, sweet thing.
I know I'm starting for a clump. This is so sad. So, I mean, but this is where you are so crucial. It's real.
It can happen. And the trick is, how do you acknowledge that it happens and give them tools to cope, and also reassure them at the same time that it's really rare. It's the chances of it having, like the chances of it happening are not very high. I mean, it's hard to hold both of those. Like, yes, the reality is, I wish I didn't have to tell you this but it doesn't happen.
These are both truths. These can both be true.
And that's hard for kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're like, well, which one is it, right?
Exactly.
They want to pick. So it's an opportunity to help your child hold both of those truths. That's like an emotional skill that you can teach them. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard for adults because we want to just go, no, that can't ever happen. Don't worry about it. It'll never happen to you. Yeah.
Well, let's start with the basics. Okay, maybe the first thing is they heard about it at school or they saw it on TV before you get a chance to address it. So they're freaked out and they may or may not tell you. How do you address it that way?
So you ask them what their understanding is first, because they may have a different understanding than what you know. You may have been watching it on the news all day. So they may just say some kids got hurt at a school, or whatever the catastrophe was. So you want to know what they're thinking, what their understanding is, so you can work with where they are.
That's a good point. Their
You don't want to give
interpretation
them
may
more.
be, yeah, let's not scare you worse. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
Right. So after you understand where they're coming from, then you want to do that reassuring, right? Like, yes, oh, no, sorry, you want to ask them what they feel first.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? Are you scared? That's normal to be scared. You want to validate that, because their emotions about it are
Instead
really
of,
important.
oh, don't worry about this, which I think is like the worst thing you can do to a kid. Like, your
And it's
feelings
so-
aren't real.
It's so tempting because parents want to just pretend it's not there, right?
Yeah.
So you're validating, you're asking them how you feel about this. Oh, I'm scared. And like, oh, it's totally normal to be scared. And then here are the things that we're going to do to keep you safe.
Okay, this is an important point, and I don't know if people really do that very often.
That's the reassuring. So,
Okay.
At your school, you're going to have drills, or when you go in the car, you put your seatbelt on, right? Why do you put your seatbelt on? You because if there was an accident, then the chances of being protected are better. So
Good analogy, yeah.
these are things that we do to protect, and that's the reassuring part. That last piece, that we can't control everything, but we're going to do everything we can to keep you safe.
The last question, I guess, is what do you say to them about the people who do this? Because that's the next thing is why do people do this? Why would they do this to me? Why would they want to do this?
Hurt people hurt people.
Interesting.
People who are hurting hurt other people. If you look at, that applies everywhere, right? People who do bombings, or it's like these are people who are in pain, who are messed up in their brains. People who do school shootings, their brains aren't working, right? So you can kind of explain mental illness. You can explain that some people are just, their hearts are dark.
Wow.
Yeah.
The way you put that is so much more poetic than the obscenities I can come up with in my brain. So that it's it's good to put it your way rather than mine.
Right, because you do want to just go, crazy baby, right? Because they,
but
they
you're
are.
right.
But you want to also help develop some empathy too. That people do things because they're hurting. Sometimes they're just pure evil, but a lot of times it's that they have pain, or they have something that they haven't dealt with, and their way of dealing with it is hurting other people.
Okay.
And that's not what. And then you can talk about how we deal with pain. When we're in pain,
Good
what
point.
do we do? We cry. You come and get a hug. Right? Because kids who have healthy connections don't do
It doesn't
those
turn
kind of
into
things.
this kind of terrible
Right,
thing. All right,
right.
last question. Is this something that you check back on the kids with? Because I know some parents go, okay, we've had the talk.
No,
it's like the birds of bees talk. We're done now.
Right,
We're not going to,
No,
Do you refer
ongoing
it back?
conversation, because
Okay.
there are going to be different events happening all throughout their life, unfortunately, and that's another chance to have that discussion again. Ask them their understanding, how they feel about it, and then what you guys are going to do to up the safety and help reassure them.
Okay. That is perfection.
Ongoing.
That is absolute perfection. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Erin.
Dr. Julie Hanks.
Thanks, Erin.
She is such a smart lady.
I know. To be honest, I hadn't even thought about that. The first question being, what do you feel? Which should be sort of obvious, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, that was intense.
If you live with a woman like that, your family and stuff, everyone might be walking around in a very zen atmosphere because she's there to help you all the time.
I don't think she's like that at home. I don't think anyone can be like that all the time. But
She's
maybe.
very good.
All right, I have to hear this because this is like the weirdest job offer I've ever heard.
If you were made fun of dressing up in black when you were a kid and sneaking around your neighborhood, and now have an opportunity for you. There's a small city 280 miles north of Tokyo. It's called Iga, I-G-A. And they are suffering from something they like to call a ninja shortage.
Traditionally, I didn't know that was something you talked about out loud. I thought the whole point of being a ninja is that you were like super secretive and...
Maybe they have plenty and they just can't see them because the whole masking the ninja power thing.
Okay.
So basically, the small town, and it grows about $30,000, 30,000 people a year for ninja tourism.
People come to this town
Yes.
for the ninjas.
Ninjas.
They go, I'm my hair and I want to see a ninja.
Yeah.
Like that.
And it's only for like April through May. And
I didn't realize ninjas were seasonal.
Maybe they tour. I don't know. But wait till you hear what they're offering for you to do this.
To be a ninja, okay.
Now, you have to be trained.
Now,
this is your dream come true. You're an electric engineer, and your dream has always been...
to be a ninja. Now, do they offer the on-the-job training, or are you required to be trained as a ninja before you apply?
No, you got to come with your stuff together.
Okay, I see.
And basically, they have created a fund now. Because this is like the birthplace, they say, of ninja-dom.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
So throwing the stars.
I do love the throwing stars.
The mask, whatever that thing is.
Yeah, that's very dramatic.
And those funny sandals, the black socks.
They probably have a deep grip. So.
Make them look like Germans on holiday. So guess how much they're going to pay you? $65,000 to $85,000 for 2 months of work.
I could totally be a ninja for 2 months.
You'd have to go through training, you know.
See, this is the trouble. What are the requirements of being a ninja? Do they clarify? Because you can't
disappear.
just go.
You can disappear whenever you want. You have a sword that you can cut people in half with.
Is that a necessary requirement?
Yes.
Like, do you have to actually show, I'm going to cut this person in half with my razor sharp
I would
blade?
imagine during the festivals and the tourism thing, you know, you could sneak out with a blow dart and take down a couple tourists. Big plod. Like the OK Corral shootouts that
Go
they do.
through their wallets.
Right. And then ninja away.
Yeah, sure.
$85,000.
They must really need ninjas.
They have.
Okay, here's my next question. Do they have to be boy ninjas, or could you be a female and be a ninja? What about nationality? Are you required to be Japanese, or could you be perhaps German or, Lithuanian?
How would you know?
With the mask on.
Right. It's like a burqa. How would you know who's under there?
This is true.
This is true. So, if you want this, it's IGA, and it's in Japan, and this job could be yours.
I could totally.
That's so fun.
You know the sad part? I have no interest in being a ninja because I don't have the physical coordination, but I could totally see you do this.
No.
No, you would dig being a ninja. Don't lie to me.
No.
You would totally dig being a ninja.
Let me give you the impression of me being a ninja in a battle. Hot. Dead. That's the way it would work.
You so underestimate yourself.
I'm 6'2". You don't ninjas that are 6'2". You're small. You're wiry.
Oh, but you'd be lumbering?
I'd be the target. They'd hide behind me.
All right. Todd's Self-Doubt is brought to you by Brio Technologies, your experts in lighting, sound, and
just
video.
realism, folks.
Look, it just, from beginning, or if you need a sophisticated media wall, these are the people you talk to. Just go to brioaudiovisual.com for more information. All right, the National Emoji Day was actually yesterday, so we missed it, which is a bit of a bummer.
Not for me.
But you know what cracked me up is I didn't realize there was a vast array of rejected emojis.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was a supreme emoji board that actually determined what is allowed to be an emoji.
They can do a cowboy. They can't do John Wayne. Does it make sense?
Explain.
They couldn't do a bare butt. They dropped that one out. Can't be people that are identifiable, like Trump or something like that. Mm-hmm. Orange mammoth with blue tusks. Okay.
Why do the tusks have to be blue? Is that part of the requirement?
It's got to be a vague drawing, with no detail. All the gun ones were removed. They can't. They don't use those.
Yeah, Twitter uses a water pistol
Can
now.
you please pull up your emojis for me?
Yeah.
I never use them, and when I do use them, I use all of them.
I don't think I've ever seen you use an emoji.
Twice.
I have a girlfriend who's like that too. I know she judges me silently when I use emojis when I text her.
Oh.
There you go.
So when I do it to her, Erin, I'm just like, so there's 2 paragraphs of emojis.
It's always like that.
So my question is on
7.
this is celery. Okay, so let's have a discussion that I would put the celery up. Oh, you got a new job. Congratulations on the new celery.
No, but if you were going to go say, hey, let's go have
fire truck.
Bloody Marys tonight, you would put up a celery.
Why do I have a fire truck?
You like hot firemen?
Kiwis. Why would I have kiwi?
You're talking to someone from New Zealand.
Peanuts.
You're going to the circus.
Curling.
Curling, you're watching the Olympics, and it's a kind of like a pity viewing because no one ever watches curling.
Cable car.
You're in San Francisco, duh.
Old school phone.
You're calling your grandma.
You're good. You're good at
There's
this.
There's always room for emojis. Not the movie, because that's
Neptune's fork.
You're going to the seaside like Cape Cod. We're at Cape Cod. Here's Neptune's fork.
A line like this.
You don't know what else to say.
Do people actually just sit? Oh, clocks. All different times on the clocks. Mm-hmm. All different flags.
Certainly. That's important for countries.
So, hey, we're going to Hawaii. No.
They actually do.
Country.
Most phones will automatically pop up the flag when you just type out the name of the country. They put it in there like just visual representation.
But people actually search this to add it to it, right? Mm-hmm. The celery
Is
one.
Is that a diving flag? Where are we sending?
Yeah.
Telling someone we're going scuba diving?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, what's the other thing we're going to do?
Tell me something good.
Tell me something good. Who's this brought to us by?
Hawaii is brought to us by PC Laptops. They would be your experts in lighting. That would actually have been Brio. So let's go back to PC Laptops. PC Laptops, where you can get a desktop or a laptop starting at $7.99.
Right.
Now, you can go up to all kinds of complicated stuff, and believe me, we know about that because we have a computer from PC Laptops that is more complicated than the Space Shuttle, but it's awesome. However, the important thing is this, is that whether you go low or you go high, you're also getting a lifetime service guarantee along with parts.
Okay, so I'm going
to
say one thing.
They help you.
Don't do what I did, walk in and pretend you know stuff. Because you don't.
Tumbling.
And this is what I go. I do this. I go, oh, right. Yeah, right. And then at one point I go, you know that I don't know anything you're talking about, right? And they go, yeah, we kind of had a feel on that. And then they'll explain nicely to you.
But then they're
all
here
the
to support
stuff.
you. Yeah, they're all the nicest.
But if you pretend that you know, it's not a good idea. And they're wonderful people.
I understand that completely. Right. PCLaptops.com if you want to get more information.
Tell me something good.
Okay, some people are just like almost unnaturally adorable. Mm-hmm. But this kid is just, he's to die for. Now, of course, Croatia won the World Cup. I'm still bitter about this. They beat France 4-2. I'm bitter because Croatia beat England, which was supposed to win.
Let me say this. 4-2 in a soccer game is breathtaking.
Like in basketball, that would be like 90 to 3,010 or something,
it's like the soccer's the only game when the highlight reel shows no one scoring.
All right. How about this, though? There's always some amazing kid who's really young and awesome, and you adore him.
Right.
19-year-old Kylian Mbappe. He's a forward player for the Croatians. Now, here's the thing that's really interesting. Actually, I apologize. He's on the France team. He made about $22,500 for each of the 7 games he played in the World Cup, and then he got
total or added up
that for each. Okay. And then he also got a $500,000 bonus. So he ended up with almost, about $700,000.
A grundle of money
and earnings. Well, here's the thing that was so adorable. So they said, "Wow, what are you going to do?" And it's, I guess, like if it were like the World Cup or like Disneyland, our Super Bowl, they'd be like, "I'm going to Disneyland," and hold their check, but they don't do that.
Right.
So they said, well, Kylian, what are you going to do with your money? And he goes, "Well, I'm donating it to charity."
How much?
They said, "Oh, that's so sweet, like 10%."
Yeah,
he went,
right.
"Oh, we'll know all of it." And there was dead silence. The Premier's charity, Premier's de Cordée charity helps disabled and hospitalized children.
Right.
And he's been working with the charity for the last 2 years.
Holy mackerel.
And they said, "Wait, you're donating all the money?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "I have plenty. I have enough to live on. I'm very fine." And they were talking to him about it. They said they asked the hospital guy about it, and he's bawling because he's all excited because most charities tend to struggle.
Right.
And he said that he always comes in like almost every other week to meet with kids and hang out and give them soccer balls. This is a 19-year-old, and he's been doing this since he was like 17.
And now millions.
And he says, I think he gets more fun playing with the kids than the kids themselves. And he's just like unnaturally adorable because he's the second youngest soccer player to score in a World Cup final. And Pele, of course, who is Brazilian and like the guy.
He's the first one that ever
of all time in eternity.
Anybody in America knew what soccer was.
And
Pele's.
He actually tweeted that if Kylian keeps equaling my records, I might have to dust my boots off again and try to play. And of course, Kylian was adorable, and he goes, "The king will always be the king."
You know what's so funny
Who
about
raised this child? Did he come from an egg? Because he's so perfect.
It's just better than we are.
Well, yeah, that's not hard. But still, how adorable is this kid?
Can you even imagine being in a bar during the game and how hard they would be cheering for his team? Can you imagine?
All the small, frail children.
And all the staffers and the workers and the parents are all in there. And imagine what they did to the other team's bands in that bar. Because they knew if they won,
you are dark today.
They were getting the money, and everything was gonna, and they're already planning on new equipment and stuff. But he had to win to get that $500,000.
You're dark.
There would have been some beatings. 18 little kids piling on top of some guy from the other team.
Who are you?
I'm your husband.
I had this beautiful, uplifting story. And you take it into a barroom brawl.
It is, but no one has ever cheered. I mean, besides Pride, no one has ever cheered for a team they love, and they love so much because they can help more kids.
I still think England should have won, but I'm very happy now because of Killian and how adorable he is.
Let me just get this straight. You wish England had won so that this gentleman couldn't have donated that money to the hospital.
Maybe someone from England would have donated some of the money. No. Now, this is just me, maybe I'm being shallow, but isn't 22 grand really kind of low for a World Cup game? He's a starting forward, and you're in the World Cup. I mean, think about what they get for the Super Bowl. I mean, just to breathe in and out is probably like 50,000, right?
You said he was a young player, and young players, like the young players in the NFL, they come in as rookies. They come in as rookies, but they're given a certain salary.
Yeah.
And then they get to make the billions.
Okay, right? That probably makes sense.
Anyway.
All right, Killian, you're beautiful. I love you.
Good job.
But wasn't that an amazing story?
It is an amazing story. Well, you guys have a great day. We're going to see you tomorrow right here on the Todd and Erin Daily Stream.
Oh, and don't forget to share the show today and like the show. Please share and like. And that also qualifies you for dinner for 4 at Christopher's Prime Steakhouse, which we will be giving away tomorrow.
Right.
So it'd be a really good idea to like and share the show today.
Please do.
Thank you.
Well, see you tomorrow. I don't think